Hi, I'm Tim Martinez with the Disco Dish. Today I'm going to share a simple recipe from a simple time. Potatoes and Carneseca. My grandparents lived here in Velarde, New Mexico, and I remember visiting here when I was a little boy. And my grandma would always make my favorite meal, potatoes and Carneseca. So today I'm going to share that recipe with you. A simple recipe from a simpler time. What we have here is julienne potatoes, Carneseca, let me show you that, which means dried meat, and salt and pepper to taste. Let's heat up the disco. So we're starting off with manteca, which is rendered pork fat. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm using a different disco today. This is a disco that I've had for about 25 years. I did a video about the history of a disco, so check it out. Cooking this meal reminds me of my grandma, Rafaelita Martinez. I asked her, why did she put Carneseca into the potatoes? And she told me, before refrigerators, before electricity, we had to slice our meat thinly, and then we could use it year-round in the dried form. So I just love this recipe. Hardly anybody does it anymore, so we're gonna do it today. Well, now that the disco is nice and hot, we're gonna add the potatoes. Now that we have the potatoes in the disco, we're gonna cook them to about 80% done. Then we'll add the Carneseca. This is a well-seasoned disco. Everything seems to be sliding right off. So I'm using my original disco, which is a little bit smaller. It's only about 22 inches wide. Size does matter. Now that the potatoes are about halfway cooked, I'm going to add the salt. Potatoes were a staple meal back in the day. Potatoes, beans, and if you're lucky, chile. All right, we're getting some color in the potatoes now. So that tells me we're a couple minutes away from adding the Carneseca. Okay, now it looks like the potatoes are almost done, about 80% I'm guessing. So now it's time to add the Carneseca. All right, added the Carneseca, put them on top there. I'm gonna let those sit for a minute, and then I'll mix it in here shortly. You may be wondering why I let the Carneseca sit on top for a little bit. It just gives a little bit of steam from the potatoes and softens up the Carneseca just a little bit. So you can plate this meal in many different ways. Does good on its own. You can also use pinto beans with it and add green or red chili. But you definitely need a tortilla warmed on the disco. Thank you. Now that the potatoes are done, tortilla's warm, I like to add my black pepper at the very end. And that's about done. Now this meal will be perfectly good on its own, but it's always better with a little bit of Velarde red chili. And that's the disco dish.